Watching my husband curse with an uglier expression than I'd ever seen, I realized my aunt's worries had been spot on. Even though we thought we were okay, my husband changed because of money. Seeing him like that, I knew I couldn't continue our marriage. My name is Emily. I'm just an ordinary housewife in my 40s. My husband John and I have been married for 16 years, and we have 2 daughters, 14-year-old Hannah and 12-year-old Bonnie. We were leading a life that was ordinary but happy and peaceful. My life changed drastically right after the 49th day of my mother's death. My father passed away last year, and my mother lived alone in our family home, an hour away by car. My parents were very close, so after my father passed away, my mother lost all her energy. And after my father passed away, she got sick, and after being examined in a hospital, they found a disease, and she went to join him in no time. Losing my parents one after another, I was greatly shocked. After my mother's funeral, still unable to settle my feelings, I received a phone call from my aunt. My aunt explained that as I was the beneficiary of my mother's life insurance, she needed me to go through the procedures to claim it. My aunt worked for an insurance company, and when she was a young diplomat, she had my parents get insurance from her so that she could meet her sales quotas. When my father died, I knew about the life insurance because we had changed the beneficiary to my mother. However, when my mother got sick, I completely forgot about its existence. The payout was $500,000. Although I was a bit shaken by suddenly getting a large sum of money, my husband was very happy.
$500,000, right? That's amazing.
Yeah, I was shocked too. Although I was more shocked than anything, my husband seemed very happy. I watched him with mixed feelings.
It's money that your mother left us, after all. We have to use it wisely.
Yeah, but Mom just passed away, and I can't think about using it for something right away.
I understand. We'll wait until you feel ready, Emily.
My husband seemed uncomfortable, perhaps noticing the difference between my feelings and his feelings. After that, he didn't mention the insurance money, and I was a bit relieved. However, something unexpected happened. When we began to settle my mother's estate, it was revealed that she has savings of over $500,000. When I contacted my aunt, thinking she might know something, she said, "I think that $500,000 is from your father's life insurance." My parents both had the same life insurance, and when my father died, my mother received $500,000, but it seems she didn't use the money, and it was all still there. My aunt, worried about me being shocked at the large amount of money, offered some advice. Since my aunt has been working for an insurance company all her life, she has seen relatives fighting over the inheritance and insurance money, and she has also seen people whose lives have been ruined by sudden access to large sums of money. My aunt advised me to think carefully about who I would tell and who I wouldn't tell about receiving the inheritance. Listening to my aunt, I became a bit more calm. While $1 million is a lot of money, I made sure to be cautious so that this money wouldn't disrupt the lives of my family or myself. First, I decided to consult my husband. Although I was apprehensive about my husband's attitude the other day, he listened calmly. I was relieved by his demeanor, but gradually his behavior began to change.
Should I quit my job, you think?
Huh? What are you talking about?
Well, it's $1 million, right? We can live without working, can't we?
What the heck was he talking about? Indeed, $1 million is a lot of money. But us, in our 40s raising 2 daughters, it's not an amount of money where we can live without working from now on. My husband, seeing my reaction, said,
"Just kidding,"
and did not quit his job. However, even after that, he would say things like,
"Let's move to a bigger house,"
or
"Let's buy a new car,"
and suddenly asked our 6th grade daughter,
"Don't you want to take middle school entrance exams?"
Our daughter, who had never been told such a thing before, was surprised. When I was thinking that I had to talk to my husband, he went and bought a designer wallet for our 14-year-old daughter. The wallet, which was introduced by a popular influencer among middle and high school students, costs $500. Our daughter wanted it, but both my husband and I had said no. Our daughter, not expecting to get it, had said, "I just tried asking," and that was the end of it. However, my husband went and bought that wallet. Our daughter, being more surprised than happy, sends me a look that says, "Is this really okay?" Seeing my husband getting carried away with the inheritance, I decided to have a serious talk. Stop suddenly talking to Bonnie about taking middle school exams and trying to buy unnecessary things for Hannah.
Why? I was thinking of Bonnie when I said that. The wallet isn't unnecessary. Hannah wanted it, right? Besides, neither the car nor the house are unnecessary, right?
Being told about middle school exams in the fall of 6th grade can only be surprising. Bonnie had even gone to observe club activities and promised to join the wind orchestra with her friends. And Hannah doesn't need a $500 wallet. We just bought a new car 2 years ago, right? Our current house is enough. It seemed like my husband wanted to use the money ever since he heard about the inheritance. He wanted to upgrade our lifestyle. The property information my husband brought as a possible moving destination all had rents exceeding $10,000. We do not have an annual income of $1 million. We just happened to be lucky this one time. If we did as my husband said, the money would be gone before we knew it. I had no intention of changing our current standard of living in order to not give the wrong idea to our children. However, my husband did not understand my feelings at all.
We have $1 million. It's fine to use a little bit of it, right?
I mean, I'd use it too if, say, the car had been used for 10 years, or if our daughter actually wanted to take middle school entrance exams. But this is different. If we use money however we want without planning, it'll all be gone before we know it.
There's no way $1 million will just disappear like that, right? Emily, you're exaggerating.
I was utterly disappointed by my husband's overly carefree remarks. For me, often being told that I'm too serious, my husband's optimism was charming. But this time, it's just too much, and it's giving me a headache. You brought home information on a property that costs $10,000 in rent, didn't you? Rent of $10,000 means we need $120,000 annually. If we live there for 8 years, there goes $1 million.
So, what should we do with the $1 million? Just keep it without using it?
I'm not saying not to use it, but it's precious money that Dad and Mom left us, so I want to use it carefully. I promised to use the money for our family and to definitely consult with my husband before using it, telling him that I didn't want to think about it anymore for now. He seemed to understand and didn't say anything further. However, about a week after the discussion, he started asking,
Have you decided how to use the money? What will you use it for?
I was so sad that my husband didn't understand my feelings at all. It's only been a week since we talked about it. You can't expect me to decide so quickly.
Then, how long do I have to wait? You're being overly cautious, Emily.
It's not that I'm being too cautious. I just don't want to mess up our lives with money that's suddenly come into our lives. When he realized I had no intention of spending the money, my husband seemed unhappy. Afterwards, he persistently kept asking,
Are you really not going to use it? And what if we invest it?
Feeling stressed by my husband's attitude, I responded vaguely. However, my husband, dissatisfied with my vague responses, hardly spoke to me at all. Thinking it would have been better without the inheritance and considering donating it, one day my husband came home in a very good mood. When he told me there was something he wanted to talk about and I sat down, he said something shocking.
I bought a house to live in with my dad and my sister. We're moving when it's ready.
What are you talking about? A house to live in with your father and your sister? What do you mean? I haven't heard anything about this.
That's why I'm telling you now, right?
My husband says it as if it was nothing, but I was filled with disbelief. Legally, that money was mine, not my husband's. I never intended to use it just for myself, but it's just unbelievable for my husband to use it without my consent. Moreover, I had asked my husband to keep quiet to my in-laws about me inheriting the amount. I'm not on good terms with my in-laws. They have only a daughter, and they've said things to me like, if you don't give birth to a boy, you can't call yourself a full-fledged mother. Or, shortly after my father passed away, they called my deceased mother a woman who could only depend on men. I couldn't forgive them for saying that. My husband should know this very well. My sister-in-law has been living with her parents all the while following the celebrities she likes, not doing housework, and apparently not contributing money to her family. I can clearly see that living with such in-laws and a sister-in-law would be troublesome, and I don't think it would have a good influence on my daughters. I quickly went to where the bank book of the account containing the inheritance was placed, but the bank book that should have been there was gone. I felt the blood drain away. My husband really did use the money without my permission. When I returned to my husband, he was laughing. The moment I saw it, I felt an indescribable fear. Even after being married for 14 years, my husband looked like a stranger to me.
Emily, you've always said it, haven't you? You want to use it for the family and use it meaningfully. If we live with my family, there will be more people to look after the kids, right? Plus, if we build a house and pay the cost in one go, we won't have to pay rent ever again. It's good for me, for you, and for the kids, isn't it?
If you think it's a good use, why didn't you consult with me beforehand? Why did you take the bank book without my permission?
Don't say I took it without your permission like it's some terrible thing. What's yours is mine too, right?
I felt my love for my husband cool down as I listened to his words. I thought that nothing I say would get through to this person. Stop it. That money is what I inherited. It's mine. It's not something you can use without my permission.
So that's your true feelings, huh? It was right of me to take the bank book. You never intended to let me use the money from the start, did you? You planned to keep all that money to yourself.
My husband yelled at me with a look I had never seen before. I wondered how things had come to this, but at that moment I was certain I could no longer live my life with this man.
If you're opposed to living with my parents, we're getting a divorce.
Fine, divorce it is. My husband probably intended to scare me, and he was just bluffing. When I quickly agreed to his divorce idea, he began to panic.
Are you really sure? It's divorce, you know?
I'm sure.
If we divorce, you won't be able to live in the house we're going to build. Is that okay?
I didn't want to live in a 3-family home with my in-laws and my sister-in-law anyway, so this posed no problem for me. Besides, I had a question in my mind. My husband says he bought a house, but I thought that might be a lie. Are you okay with it? I think you'll end up regretting it, you know.
Huh? There's no way I'll regret it.
My husband said with full confidence. Afterwards, saying,
I can't live with you anymore.
He packed his belongings and left the house. The next morning after my husband left, I went to the bank first thing and confirmed that all the money was still there. As I thought, my husband's claim that he had already bought the house was a lie. Even if my husband had the bank book, my suspicion that he couldn't withdraw such a large sum of money from an account in my name without my consent was correct. I kept the details to myself but reported the loss of the bank book and completed the procedures for temporary account suspension and reissuing of the bank book. After that, I proceeded with divorce talks, including property division and child support. Though the divorce discussions were progressing smoothly, a week after my husband left the house, I received a frantic call from him.
Emily, help me.
Huh? What's going on all of a sudden?
Please, help me.
Panicking, my husband kept repeating, "Help me," without providing any reasons. I was at a loss until the voice on the other end of the line changed. The man on the phone reportedly explained that a male holding my bank book for an account now under suspension had attempted to withdraw money. The bank found it suspicious that he also had a power of attorney required for someone other than the account holder to withdraw the money, and had contacted the police. Consequently, my husband was being questioned by the police inside the bank. Though we were going to divorce, I was still shocked having never expected him to go to such lengths like this. The man I knew wouldn't do something like this, yet he went crazy because of the money. I agreed to go to the bank when asked to provide further information. At that moment, I contacted my brother-in-law. A capable man and a lawyer, my brother-in-law shared little in terms of personality or proximity with the rest of my in-laws, and he hardly interacted with them despite living nearby. I was convinced he had no involvement in my husband's plan. Though I was reluctant to bother him, he was the only person I could rely on. He answered the phone immediately.
Emily, it's been a while. What happened?
I'm so sorry to bother you out of the blue. Something really troubling has happened. After I briefly explained the situation, my brother-in-law, although surprised, believed me and promised to come to the bank right away.
Emily, I'm so sorry for what our family had done.
The unfolding events seemed to indicate deeper complexities and personal struggles within the family and among its members. Family dynamics, relationships, and personal issues can significantly impact people's behavior and decisions in sometimes unexpected or surprising ways. No, I'm sorry for being so sudden.
Don't worry about it. I'm glad you contacted me, actually.
Upon arriving at the bank, my husband was looking down, surrounded by a bank employee who had processed the account suspension and a police officer. Then, upon seeing me, he looked relieved and clung to me with teary eyes.
Emily, help me. I'm going to get arrested at this rate. Tell them we were withdrawing the money as a couple, with mutual consent.
My husband was pleading to me in a pitiful voice. The passbook was taken out by my husband without any permission, and the money in the account has no legal ties to my husband. I don't remember signing a power of attorney either. It was all so poorly made up that I couldn't help but laugh out loud. If I explained the situation as it was, my husband will definitely be arrested.
Are you his wife?
I wanted to say no, but unfortunately we were still legally married. I was led to another room to discuss the detailed circumstances and explained the situation up until now. Although I felt sorry for causing trouble, both the police officer and the bank employee sympathized with me. My husband has forged the power of attorney and could be held criminally responsible, but images of our daughters flashed through my mind, so I did not file a complaint. Just as the conversation was concluding and I was headed to where my husband was, I heard him yell,
Why are you here?
When I hurried to my husband, he screamed at me.
Emily, did you call him? Why did you call someone like him? Is this your way of harassing me? The one harassing here is you, taking the passbook without permission, trying to withdraw her money. This is completely unacceptable, even if she's your wife. Shut up, this has nothing to do with you.
Since my husband was so agitated, the police officer stepped in to intervene. However, my husband kept on yelling and said something unbelievable.
You've been having an affair with my brother, haven't you? You're planning to use the inheritance with him, aren't you?
That's not true at all.
I don't believe it. I was lied to.
Even though that was not the truth at all, my husband does not believe me even if I deny it. My brother-in-law has a beloved wife, who he's been married to for 20 years, and my husband should know that he would never have an affair.
Officer, I'm the victim here. I've been tricked by this witch. Enough! You did something that should have been reported to the police. And yet, you have no intention of apologizing to her, and plan to shift the blame on us instead.
Whether it was being yelled at by his brother or thinking he was going to be turned over to the police, my husband quieted down. I presented the divorce papers, which I was planning to give him after we had discussed child support. Please, never involve yourself with our daughters or me again. Whatever you do from now on has nothing to do with me, and I do not want to be called as your wife. My husband, who realized he was being looked at coldly by me, his brother, the bank employee, and the police officer, quietly signed the divorce papers. Afterwards, my brother-in-law said, I'll take responsibility and take this guy home, and took my husband away. I then submitted the divorce papers. Thus, our divorce was finalized. Later, my husband's debts were revealed. He had been splurging in a girls' bar, proclaiming,
"I'm rich, I have money,"
and apparently spent hundreds of thousands of dollars in a single day. He intended to repay the debt once he had access to the inheritance, but he never received the inheritance, and only the debt remained. The in-laws, who had thought they would be living in a $1 million mansion, were furious when that plan fell through. It seems they got angry at my ex-husband, calling him useless. They tried to contact me, but my brother-in-law stopped them. Now I have moved and started a new life with my daughters. My daughters, who seemed to have sensed that my ex-husband had gone crazy, didn't mention that they wanted to see him. My ex-husband, having been verbally abused by his family and being scolded by his brother, seems to have regained his sanity, and child support is being properly transferred every month. I hope that if one day my daughters say, "We want to see him," I'll maybe allow them to do so.